Coach, what a game against the Chiefs. And I just want to know, even though it was a loss, what did you learn about this team that maybe you didn't know in the last 2 wins?
Well, I think the thing that showed up again was the finish. Our guys just continuing to play hard for each other for the whole time that they're out there. And so that showed up again. I think, what we're learning is we're seeing some great chemistry being built on the offensive side in the pass game, just finding that rhythm, which will give us an opportunity to really play the balanced type of offense that we want to and do that. And then I thought, our pass rush, 5 sacks, and all those things coming to life are things that I felt like we took great steps and great strides in. So learning a lot about that.
Absolutely. And we're certainly going to get into those specific moments in just a second. But I want to ask you, I think you've heard a lot about this week, about a moral victory versus, it really stinging that you weren't able to come away with the win. How do you handle that? How do you think about that?
For me, it's always a weekly focus. The focus is on us and our execution. So as we look at the game and you watch the film, we see the opportunities missed. I see calls I'd like to have back. I see tackles I'd love for our guys to make. I see catches I'd love for us to make. Different technique things that would have allowed us to have more success in this game and possibly put us into the lead a couple of times, throughout the game. Some critical areas where, Pat was able to extend plays, and keep drives going. And so I just look at it that way. I have to, and at the same time, the guys should feel that if we make plays and when we execute, we can play with anybody. And that's the truth of it, and it all starts out by taking care of the ball, which is what we talk about. And when you do that, you put yourselves in a chance to win every game, and that's what happened.
I want to ask you about some of these plays. So let's go to the third quarter, 45 seconds left. In that quarter, 3rd and 8, Panthers are down by 11. Kansas City brings 7 guys, and then we see Bryce make this 17-yard completion to David Moore. Can you walk us through that?
This is a group that's really growing to trust each other. The anticipation on that throw for Bryce to be able to hit his back foot and say, David's going to be exactly where he needs to be when I need him to be there. That's where we're headed, and that's what we're growing to, is those guys learning to trust each other and having. That's how you can play fast, and that's how you can, find completions against a really aggressive play call right there. And so I was really proud of us coming away with that.
All right, another one. 4th quarter, game on the line, 2 minutes left. 4th and 3, Panthers are down 8, and then Kansas City brings 8. So can you give us the thought process leading up to the play that you called?
First of all, in that situation right there, it's like, okay, this is got to have it situation, and this is a thing that we talk about on Saturday nights, and we kind of look through our call sheet and say, okay, 3rd or 4th and critical, these are the couple of calls that this defense has made, and that was a call that we all decided, talking to Bryce, talking to the coaches, and we all said, this is a call we're gonna make given that situation, and there it was, and Bryce was able to get us to the line. He checked the protection. He got it all situated. The guys executed at a high level. He threw an accurate ball. And so it's just a really cool moment for all those things to come together at the right time to give us a chance to tie the game up.
So Pro Football Focus said after, they do all of those different things, they take all these things into account, and they said with all of that Bryce had 5 big-time throws. I know we just went through a couple of them. Was there one that you thought was the biggest time or was the most impressive to you?
I just loved the early in the game, the big 40-yard completion to Xavier, because that's our offense. When you can run the ball and then you can have play action shots down the field of 40 or more, that's who we are. That's who we want to be, and that hasn't come to life consistently for us. The run game has been there, but it's those explosive plays that we need to become us. And so that's probably, that one and the 4th down throw.
Yeah.
But those are. The play action one is just kind of like, that's us moment.
Yeah. You speak about consistency and taking steps. To what do you attribute Bryce's improvement each game?
It goes way back, and it's just the progression he's taken every week of just pressing into the game plans, being involved in all the conversations of how we're trying to attack, having answers to different things. And then when he got his opportunity, building week after week, and then applying the lessons from this game to the following week of practice and then to the next game. collecting more lessons and applying it to the next game. And so that's what he's been doing, is just stacking days and stacking weeks. And that's what I'm most proud of about what he's doing.
And so what's the next step for the next game and beyond?
Oh, just, facing another division opponent, playing the Bucs, and then just, again, continuing that chemistry in the pass game that we're looking at, and getting us to play that full, complete game where the run game's rolling, the pass game's happening, and we can be able to finish on our terms.
We've heard a lot about this post-game speech that Bryce gave to the guys. We've heard a little bit here, a little bit there. If you want to share some of it with us, will you? And then also, what did it do for the guys in the locker room?
Honestly, it was just a collective moment of recognizing that when we do things right, we can play with anybody. And also realizing that we didn't get it done and we left a lot of meat on the bone. And so it was a cool moment, for me as the head coach to finish what I was saying, and then to have Bryce step in there and go, okay, look, this is what we can do, and all the recognition that we still didn't win, but we can play with anybody. We got to have that mentality that we come in with the expectation that we can have success weekly. And that was the feel. It was like a combination of, dang, we missed it, and also, here we go.
Yep.
And so I just loved the vibe that was happening in the locker room.
I want to ask you about one guy. We talked a little bit about him, but he had a great game, David Moore. So he was with you in Seattle, and then also last year in Tampa Bay. What do you like about the way he plays that has encouraged you to bring him to different places where you're coaching?
He's a pro's pro. He is a guy that I've watched become a man, become a dad, become a professional. Drafted him in 2017. I was the wide receivers coach. And to see how far he's grown over the years, and a guy that you can just count on, his greatest ability has been availability. He plays through things. He makes sure that his mind is right. If he's not sure about something, he asks questions and he studies. He does whatever it takes to make sure he's ready so that he can help his team. He's a great teammate. He's got an infectious laugh, all those things. And so he's one of my all-time favorites. And so I was so glad that he came here. I had a chance to bring him in.
I can see why the two of you would get along so well. Let's talk about the defense a little bit. So they just showed remarkable improvement, especially in the second half. To what do you attribute that to?
Communication. I attribute that to guys being committed to each other, and also to great coaching. Ajero, his staff. And then we've gotten some players back, and the communication, it takes a step up when Jordan Fuller's in there. When we have DJ Wanham on the other side of Jadeveon Clowney, the pass rush is real, and Shai and Ashawn have been playing their best football inside. Josie Jules just running all over the field, making plays. Trevin's playing faster, so all these guys improving and working together is really the results that we're starting to see.
You mentioned the pass rush, 5 sacks, as you said, against Mahomes, the season high for this team, and I believe the most he's been sacked in quite some time. I want to take you to one specifically, that one that you guys got when you needed it, Jadeveon Clowney, Deshaun Williams, when the game was on the line. Take me through that sack.
Yeah, just critical to put them behind the sticks and have to force them to make some, pretty important decisions about giving us the ball back with a bunch of time to try to score. And so our defense gave us the ball back twice, 2 series in a row. The first one we went 3 and out. Then they gave it back to us again to give us a chance to tie it up.
That was an incredible sequence of events. So before we move on to talking about Tampa Bay, I of course want to ask you about Ja'Tavion Sanders. How has the team rallied around him?
Yeah, he was back in the building the same day. It was a really scary moment, but they got him back in there to start treating him, to start, really addressing the neck injury. And thank God we avoided a catastrophic injury. But he's not completely, all ready to go yet. He's still very sore, as you can imagine. The type of impact he took. But the guys just all showed him love on the field, and when he came back into the stadium, there was a lot of people kind of checking on him.
All right, we got to talk now about your opponent this upcoming week. Team that you are very familiar with, Tampa Bay, and certainly their quarterback. You were its offensive coordinator last year, and he had some career highs under you. So tell me about Baker Mayfield.
He's a great teammate. He loves being on the field every day. He enjoys it. He's got a real passion about it. He's chippy as all get out. He's talking to the defensive players. He's talking to the coaches. and he rallies his guys.
And we know that he can scoot, right? And that was something that this defense struggled against with Patrick Mahomes. So what is the plan? What does this defense need to do to contain him?
It starts with the run game, and it starts with stopping the run. This is a team that's been really efficient with the run game, and they're building, with Rachaad White and with Bucky Irving, these guys, and then Sean Tucker, who was with us last year. So they have a good mixture there. Their line is solid, and so, but if we can really attack the run game and force them to pass so that we know they're passing, then we can get our pass rush going and try to attack Baker in that group.
You mentioned that two-headed monster with the running backs. I do want to ask you, though, when you talk about the passing game, Mike Evans returned last week. What kind of a factor does he present, and how different is it with him in the offense?
It's very different. You got to know where Mike's at all times, and find ways to help inside out low, or one guy high, one guy low. Just try to contain him from having those big explosive plays down the field. And he's going to find work. He's going to find his work, while that's happening, just making sure that, the rest of the defense and all that stays in their leverage and owns what's happening on their side, so not too many people try to give the attention to Mike.
Finally, I want to ask you about Todd Bowles. What makes him so great as a defensive mind, and what do you have to be prepared for?
I mean, first and foremost, talking about Coach Bowles, just the consistency, the toughness, the humility, the way that he encouraged me as a first-time play caller, all those things. So I got to say that first. And then as a defensive coordinator, attacking style, and a coordinator that's not going to let you just sit back there and run your normal plays. He's going to challenge all your protections. He's going to challenge your concepts, all the different things that require the eyes of the running back, being aware of where his work's at, and different types of coverage styles, so that your receivers aren't just attacking the same coverages the same way. So, and he's been doing it for so long. He's got a real knack for when to call what, and I'm sure he'll be looking at all of our film, trying to hone in on a couple of tendencies that we have.
Well, Coach, we are looking forward to that game. We know it's going to be a good one. Thank you so much for being so generous with your time. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Kristen.